Right, let's jump straight into the meat and potatoes of this video. Now, if you're looking to either get a seller or a buyer, or if you want to find out the full process of how to do that, utilizing the right AI tools, digital marketing, as well as automation, you're in the right place. So ultimately, I understand that this is what, well, I would say 99.999% of agents want, which is ultimately money. Yes, you want to help them. Yes, you want to make a difference in their life. Yes, it's your passion. But let's be honest. Let's call a spade, right? You want more cash. So I'm going to walk you through in terms of how to actually do that, utilizing this entire framework and system all on autopilot. So let's zoom all the way out just so at least we can take a look at this entire strategy. Now, actually, I won't even call it a seller strategy framework, but it would start off by the sellers. So I'll just call this the client strategy framework. Why? Because it's going to walk you through how to, number one, how to get sellers, and then how to then sell those listings into cash at the end of the day. And it's all going to start at the top of the funnel, and we're going to discuss that now in a second. So cool, let's jump straight into it. So what I'll do actually here is I'll start at this particular touch point because I think it's super important. Is I've noticed many agents create content, great, amazing, but number one, most of them suck. Most of them don't necessarily know exactly what type of content to create that's going to resonate with their market. I always like to say that you want to, number one, get an idea of who exactly is your avatar, who exactly are you serving, and then all you just need to do is tap into the conversations that's happening in their mind and answer it, right? Solve those problems that they have in their head right now. So for example, let's say sellers in your area right now, the biggest problem that they're having is they just can't seem to get their house sold. Let's say their house has been in the market for quite a few months, and from their perspective, they don't know why it's not selling. And let's say that the content, or let me rather say that the house is not selling because it's not priced correctly. Okay, so now how would we then be able to attract more clients like that who are also having issues selling their house, even though it's on the market and it's been in the market for quite some time and it's not selling? How do we then sell also those houses as well? So first things first, if we had to look at it from an organic content standpoint, because many people always say, oh, when do you speak to the paid guy side? What about the content side? Content, very simple, guys. All you just need to do is find the issues that they're going through and then create it. So the nice thing with BigVoo is that this is an amazing tool. It's a teleprompter app, and the nice thing about it is that you can create video content which is guided by AI. However, you will be the one who's actually speaking on the video. However, instead of you having to then figure out what to say, the subtitles or the teleprompter will then pop up on the side of your screen, and you can just literally read what is on your screen. Now, of course, do not sound robotic, okay, because we don't speak like robots, okay? We speak just like genuine everyday people. So you obviously want to make sure that the content in that script, number one, is more conversational tone and it's more value based. And of course, as you're reading it, you're not just reading it, but you're embodying it, right? It needs to sound like you. And you can use the AI to actually sound like you, so that when you're engaging, when you're speaking, it actually does sound like you. Okay. And then you want to create more of that content. And the whole purpose of this content is to drive them to inquire for either a free consultation, or for handmade comparative market analysis, or for a handmade valuation. And that's going to be the next step. But the purpose here of the organic content is to really create content that engages with the market. Another amazing thing about BigVoo, which they've integrated AI within it, is that you can actually create your very own AI avatar. But all you just need to do, you record yourself once, and then BigVoo will create an exact replica version of you like that. And then all you just need to do is give it a script, and then that AI version of you would then be able to recite that script word for word, verbatim, with your tonality, your mannerisms, all that good stuff. Now that allows you to literally replicate yourself and leverage that for you to create more content that's going to speak to your market. And as I've said, there needs to be a call to action here, and the call to action should simply just be driving them to an offer. Offers are important because then once you've nailed a good offer, that doesn't necessarily require too much effort or money or time or investment from your lead, but ultimately it's going to give them what they want, or it's going to give them one step closer to what they want. That is what actually drives a good offer, right? So that's the whole purpose of the organic content. And the focus of that is if anyone wants to get let's say a handmade valuation report, they would then go through, let's say, a landing page, which will then focus on qualifying them. Now, the same process would happen here, for example, if you had to run a paid ad. So let's say, for example, you're like, Wandile, actually, I don't want to go the organic marketing route. I want to just make things a lot faster, quicker for me. What works best here? From an ad perspective, well, you want to do a distress seller ad. Same process that you would do for an organic side, but now our core focus is actually speaking to the pain points and then how you can help solve them. And then all they just need to do is click on the link and move forward to the next step. So the distress seller ad would then be focusing more on the context of, has your house been on the market for more than 3 months and you're struggling to sell it and you don't know what's going on? And then you could speak about a little bit more about the solution, but if they want to sell as soon as possible using your framework, then they need to click on the link. Now, when they click on that link, for example, it's all going to lead them to this qualification process. Now, qualification process could mean a lot of things, right? It could mean a basket of things. But the focus here at the end of the day is, for me personally, it's all about how can you qualify those leads to really get an idea in terms of where they are, number one, in the sales process, as well as number two, really getting an idea in terms of where they're based, where do they stay. So this is, of course, the right correct leads. Now, I do want to quickly mention as well is that we mainly use ads on Meta, which is based mainly Facebook and Instagram. This doesn't necessarily have to only resort to Meta. You could also use TikTok here, Google, any platform to get the traffic. But we've just seen that the quality of the traffic, as well as getting the right data from the traffic, Meta so far has been the best. Okay. So within this qualification process, as I've mentioned, this could mean a basket of things, right? They could go to a landing page. This could be also a lead form. This could be an AI agent, which is built on the SynthFlow, or it could go straight to WhatsApp where you've got appointment-wise that can deal with them. There's a basket of ways to actually do it. And I suppose the question you need to be asking yourself is, which would be more efficient for me? Which one would be more hands-off? But just know that the more efficient and hands-off you want the process to be, you cannot be a cheapskate about it, because that's going to require either a software or a tool or a business that's actually going to help build it out for you. Now, if you want it cheaper, then just know that that's also going to require a level of output on your end. But let's say, for example, you're like, Wandile, I've got a little bit of budget. What's the best and the easiest way for me to go through this qualification process so that at least I can find who's the best type of lead that qualifies? Then you want to look into an app, or not into an app, but a software called SynthFlow. You can also look at Vapi. Now, these are AI agent softwares where basically you can create and build your own AI agent. When you build your own AI agent, basically what it's going to do is that as soon as the lead has expressed interest either through your organic content or through your distress seller ad, of course it would need to be done through a funnel. But let's say, for example, they provide their basic and their core information, and now it comes to the step of really getting an idea in terms of where they are in the sales process and where they qualify in terms of intention or not. Then the SynthFlow AI agent will then give them a call and then have a conversation with them, something that is no pressure, no higher sales page, but more from a conversational chat to really get an idea in terms of where they're at, identifying what are their pain points and seeing if there's a good fit. The same process would happen with an app called, a software called Appointwise. Appointwise really is more the SynthFlow version, but you want to look at it more from a text perspective. So essentially what it will then do is that it will then have conversations with your leads. This is via WhatsApp. I'll make the example from a WhatsApp perspective, where it's having that conversation with the leads via WhatsApp. It sounds very human, very casual conversations. Of course, you can then engage and prompt it so that it speaks in the manner that you engage. But I always like to suggest to my clients that, especially if it's the first conversation, let's not be too pushy, because the minute you're more pushy, what that does is that it then turns them off, because it's like it's like reaching out to someone and you being very direct. Most oftentimes it will turn them off because there hasn't been that trust that has been built yet. So with these two different softwares, it all really depends in terms of what's your preference. And again, going back to what I said earlier on, which is your avatar. Does your avatar enjoy more conversations over the phone, or would they rather chat with you on WhatsApp, for example? You would only know, right, because you know your market best, but these two I would say would be best. And you can do both, but I would highly suggest focus on one and really, really dive deep and nail that in. Now, once they've been through this qualification process, then the focus then would then be to get them to book an appointment, especially if they make a good fit. Now, if they book an appointment with you, which is more having that conversation and everything checks out, okay, if you do get the listing from them, we'll then create a list of homes campaign, which I'm going to cover now in a second. But let's say, for example, that, all right, they're not ready to sell yet. Then the nice thing is that we can then put them in the pipeline of people who are not ready yet, and then we can utilize a software called Go High Level that will then make sure that it sends a drip email sequence, which is essentially sending either an email once a week or twice a month, for example, which is adding in more value, and then ensuring that if anyone opens up that email, it will then follow up with them just to see if they would be ready to move forward immediately or move forward within the next week or two, for example. And Go High Level can do that by creating the if statements within your automation. Now, let's say, for example, that eventually they are ready, then we bring them back to this process, okay, which is having that appointment with them. And then if they are ready to list and sell their house, then we run a list of homes campaign. This list of homes campaign, again, this is going to be an ad that we utilize. Let's say, for example, you get about 5 listings in 1 month. Then we'll take all those listings and then we put them into one campaign, one ad, which is more focused on if you are an investor, a first-time home buyer, or if you're a professional couple, or if you're a young professional and you are looking to purchase a house that is close to schools, a good neighborhood, etc., then click on this list of homes so that you can get an idea from this price to this price, from these bedrooms to these bedrooms, and see if any of these properties would align with what you're looking for. So we would then, one, focus on the pricing, and then let them know that these houses also do qualify for special financing programs. But the whole reason why we like to speak to different types of demographics and avatars when it comes to a list of homes campaign is because it's a list of homes. Okay, so each home does serve its purpose, and for us it's about how can we go wide as possible, which is more focusing on every type of potential buyer, where when they see your ad, they're like, hey, yes, that's me. And then once we have their attention, we get them to click on the ad, then we move them over to that process where, for example, we can then email new stock to the buyer database. So obviously what would happen is that now you have all these people that say, yes, I'm interested, and then we can then either email them your stock, which is basically your listings of all the listings that you have. We can then also send them a link of your listings once they've expressed interest. And then once they've expressed interest, of course, you would then just need to do your due diligence, which is sending that data information to the right parties, which is the mortgage broker as an example, who would then qualify them. Once those that are qualified can then move over to then the viewings, and then once those viewings are done and there's an offer that's being done, offer that's being made, voila, getting to the cash. Man, oh man, yeah, that's the beauty around real estate, right? Is that it's not really a one-step straight funnel process, but this is what I've noticed has been the fastest and the easiest. Relatively, I know all this is subjective, right? But relatively, one of the fastest and the easiest ways for you to get closer to the core goal here, which is either more cash, more deals, and ultimately helping people sell their house and finding the right homes for the right individuals. Now, as I've mentioned, there's a sundry of different softwares that are utilized, and it really just gives you a little bit of an overview in terms of what would be needed, and ideally the different phases that would need attention. And I would just highly suggest that when looking at every phase, you want to look at it with an open mind. And the nice thing about platforms like Go High Level is that they've done their best to ensure that they cover every single type of software. So Go High Level now has obviously got options where you can either have, it's got the conversational AI option, which would be in competition with the Pointwise, as well as it's got the AI agent side, which will then be in competition with SynthFlow. So honestly speaking, you can actually use Go High Level for every stage. All right, I don't think they're on the level of Big Voo yet. This is still a little bit more niche and specialized, especially within the real estate industry. But for the majority of this entire, I would say, framework, Go High Level will be able to take care of most of it. And again, it all just really depends in terms of what works best for you. Now, I'm not an advocate, I'm not selling Go High Level, but I'm just really giving you an overview in terms of my experience and the capabilities that it has, as well as the fact that it has an overall CRM option. So if you've got some cash for advertising spend, if you've got some cash to build out either a call agent or a text agent, and you've got some cash to then utilize a backend software that's going to help you build out the right automations, the right emails, have a CRM system coming in place, then I highly suggest that you follow this entire process. Or we could build it out for you. And if that's the option that you would like, go check out the comment section. I've got my calendar link over there. To find out a little bit more about what we do, go and check out the link in the description. And hope this added a lot of value. And if it did, don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care.
Hey V,